Over the last 5 months, haven't you all noticed an unpleasant and repulsive presence in the Chainsaw Man fandom? Most likely, this is due to the growing toxic community of Reze, who is by far the most famous character at the moment. But listen, this doesn't make all Reze fans disgusting people. I myself consider her to be a decent character, and I know that most of her fans are peaceful like me, but this toxic situation and the growing number of people who overrate her forces me to make this video telling the truth. I had planned to say the things we're going to see over a year ago, but I think now that the fandom is a little more active, it's a good time to do it. It's time to expose this genocidal groomer that is Reze, with a list of arguments I've made in 15 minutes, and to prove, as the thumbnail says, that Reze from Chainsaw Man is indeed worse than Jeffrey Epstein. I should clarify that this is not an attack on Reze fans. Rather, it is an attempt to explain why I consider Reze to be a highly overrated character, and that she has many bad qualities that should stop people from considering her a good character and a good person. And the first point is her fleeting appearance in the story. This point is self-explanatory. It's pretty crazy and unacceptable that a character who didn't even appear in 15 chapters has so much hype behind her, don't you agree? And in this point, I'm clearly not counting the appearances in the final arc of Part 1, nor the flashback in Part 2. In the first one, Reze was controlled by Mommy Makima, and in the second, it's just a flashback, as I said. And we'll see the impact Reze had on Denji later. Reze is a character who shines brightly in the community, but who did not have a significant impact on the story. The last time we saw her was in 2019. Most of you didn't even know this manga existed back in 2019, including myself. This is due to the nature of Reze's character in the fiction, which is that she is not in the story to tell us about herself, but rather, she is an amalgamation of fan service and a tool to show us a few things about the world of Chainsaw Man, such as the interest that other nations have in Pochita, the secrets of Makima, and above all those things, how manipulable and innocent Denji is. That's why she only appears in 13 chapters. Reze's arc is a 15-minute read, come on! Such an ephemeral character is way too overrated by her crazy fans on Twitter. Fans who, for the most part, love her for being cute. I guess? I highly doubt it's because of her impact on the story or the kind person she is. At this point, it seems that she is on the same level of evilness as Epstein, but Reze's actions are much worse. Reze manipulated and groomed Denji in an extremely cruel way. A 16-year-old boy. Don't forget that age, because it will be important later on. And dear Reze fans, don't give me this. She was just following orders from the Soviet Union argument. That's a weak reasoning that falls apart in light of Reze's actions, because many of the things she did were on her own initiative. Think about it this way. What could the orders from the Soviet High Command have been? Of all things, I definitely don't think they told her to groom Denji for whole 3 days to extract his heart. Yes, they wanted Pochita. But all this unnecessary contact they had for days was purely Reze's initiative, when she could have easily finished him off on the first day. However, she preferred to manipulate him. Absolutely disgusting! Some fans might say that perhaps it was her way of escaping her sad reality of being used as a weapon, that she loved him, that she genuinely enjoyed those moments with Denji, which she herself denies, but there are others who say it's simply because she's a bad person. And this is where we get to the next point. Reze is a very bad person, a murderer, a genocidal maniac, and evil at heart. Reze fans, the previous points may be debatable to a certain extent, but you can't deny this part, no matter how much you love Reze. The fact is, this woman is a genocidal maniac, a ruthless and bloodthirsty killer, a person with genuine evil in her heart. Wait, what are you saying, Reze fan? That she was following orders from the Soviets? How sweet of you to be this delusional. Do you all seriously think these guys told her to blow up half a city, murder hundreds of people, and cause all that commotion, thus risking being caught by Makima? See how it doesn't make sense to say it was all because she was following orders? Using the Typhoon Devil wasn't part of her plan, and yet she decided to use it and cause all that damage to the city, ultimately ending the lives of many people. The beheadings, the innocent people she killed, ripping out Denji's tongue, and everything else we saw. Do you really think this character is a good person? She was on her own in Japan, or so it seemed. If she were really a good person as you all think, she would have tried to cause as little damage as possible. And no, it doesn't matter if a country's government is forcing you in the way they forced Reze to kill a person. In almost no context is it okay to end someone's life. I would understand if they were pointing a gun at Reze to make her do it, but she was literally alone in Japan. There was no one there forcing her to kill and cause all the damage she caused. We only have to go back to the kissing scene to understand this. What kind of sane person chops off another person's tongue? When at that moment she could have easily cut his throat quickly? Only a psychopathic, bloodthirsty lunatic would do everything Reze did. She literally didn't kill Kobeni in this scene because Fujimoto needed her as comic relief. This point is shorter than the others, but if we think about it for a second, what is it about Reze that makes so many people consider her the best character in history? My theory is because she's cute, maybe? Because she was the first female character we saw who may have had feelings for Denji? Because it's funny that she's Russian. Her purple hair? I mean, it's hard to think of things like her interaction with the protagonist, which in this case is all fake, her endearing and sad background, or her relevance and how not disgusting she is. It's hard because she's a fucking character from a 13-episode arc. I'll stick with the theory that she's cute. Another point is that Reze is a very, very flat character. And I'm not talking about her body, which we already know is more useful as a desk than anything else, but rather the absolute nothingness we know about Reze. Her lack of interaction with characters other than Denji. Literally, the only person she spoke to was the owner of the cafe LMAO. And her very questionable development in supposedly wanting to leave everything behind and truly loving Denji. Love that seems more like an excuse to survive, since I don't think she wanted to face the consequences of failing such an important mission for the Soviet Union and dragging them into a possible conflict with Japan. In that moment of lucidity she had before dying, she only sees Denji as that, a plan B to survive. And going back to her backstory, literally the only thing we know about her is that she was supposedly subjected to experiments and training since childhood to become a weapon of the Soviet Union. Nothing else. And this is normal since Reze is what is known as this thing, which in French means fatal woman. In the world of fiction, she is a specific type of female character and antagonist. She is an archetype of a mysterious and seductive woman who uses her charms to manipulate the protagonist and thus put him in dangerous and fatal situations for her own benefit, generally using sexuality for this purpose, which is precisely what allowed Reze to seduce Denji, since he was a gooner, as we all know. Reze, as I already said, is only in the story to show us in a fleeting way how manipulable and lost Denji is in life, how easy it is for him to be overcome by his carnal desires. How did the Soviets get the bomb devil inside Reze? How exactly did they do it? How did they capture the bomb devil? Why was Reze able to endure it and not die like the other children? What happened to Reze after Makima died? Why, if she supposedly loved Denji so much, didn't come back to even talk to him? What an immense love, right? You love someone so much, and then you decide to pretend they don't exist as if nothing happened. Well, we have to consider Reze is a transitional character after all, and remember her limited time in the manga. Just to be clear, she's just decoration in this story. This is a point I didn't mention before, and that is that another thing that makes Reze a scumbag is her complete lack of redemption. Reze fans also say that she supposedly changed at the end of her arc, but where is that redemption? When she donated a measly yen to charity? Chat, let's do an experiment. Go to Tokyo, commit genocide, and destroy hundreds of buildings and houses. Now, go donate 1 yen to charity. Did that fix anything? Let's continue with the destruction of the city. We know that this incident not only killed many innocent adults, but also many children and babies. Don't believe me? Let's do the math. Among all the bombs that Reze detonated in Tokyo, all of her explosions, and all the destruction caused by the typhoon devil she was controlling, what are the odds that she didn't kill any babies or children on the spot, given that Tokyo is one of the most populated cities in the world? It's literally impossible. There you have it, Reze fans. Your idol, the baby killer. I'm sure Epstein didn't went this far as to do these things, right? This part is especially for the toxic people on social media. How dare you compare your filthy character to the goddess Asamitaka? How can you insult, threaten, cause fights, and spread toxicity in the community? All because you're trying to push the agenda that Reze is a better romantic interest for Denji than Asa? Reze, who in Denji's mind is a murderer who deceived him, tried to kill him, and left, versus Asa, who surpasses her in every way? You simply cannot compare a character from 13 episodes to a character who is the current protagonist of Chainsaw Man, with more interaction, more development, more depth, and a relationship with Denji that has been much more developed than Reze's. In this debate, there is not a single point where Reze wins. Reze fans are only continuing with this topic for the sake of causing trouble and make normal people hate them. And before we reach the conclusion of the video, we have the last point on this short list of flaws, which is that yes, Reze is a groomer and a pedophile. Let's be honest, Reze fans, how old do you think she is? Because she's definitely over 18. Besides, do you think the second world power at the time would have sent an underage girl on one of the most important and risky missions for the country? Sounds silly, right? Because it is. It makes more sense that they would have waited a few years, not only so that Reze could become an adult and develop her cognitive abilities, but also so that she could grow more as a person. That way, they would have had more time to train her. Do you really think that the Soviet Union itself made such a stupid and impulsive decision? Of course they didn't. Anyway, it's impossible to deny that Reze is a groomer and likes cheese pizza. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been naked in front of Denji, and she wouldn't have kissed him twice on the mouth. And that's how we debunked Reze's fraud. In conclusion, I can say without a doubt that Reze is a shallow and empty character. She is a very bad person. She is a psychopath, a murderer, a genocidal maniac, a child killer, a manipulator, a groomer, bloodthirsty, vastly overrated, and above all, worse than Jeffrey Epstein. At least Jeffrey paid the women who gave him massages, and he also gave jobs to the people who worked at Little St. James. But Reze? She's just another piece of trash with a pretty face in a world of devils. But deep down, I thank Fujimoto for creating Reze. Her movie has revived this fandom, bringing benefits to Chainsaw Man fans and the manga itself. I prefer an active and conflicted community to one where there is no community at all. Well, my beautiful people, it's time to say goodbye. Thank you very much for staying until the end of the video. Remember that you are free to comment whatever your opinion is in the comments, whether it's hate towards me or not. I love you all anyways.